Good evening. Hope you all had a fantastic day. Today the S&P 500 hit a new intraday record high and ultimately finished the day at a new closing high as the index rose 0.23%. The index is now up a remarkable 54% from the March lows, which was reached during the onset of the pandemic in the United States. The Dow struggled as the index fell 0.24%. But tech was very strong and led by Amazon as the Nasdaq recorded a gain of 0.73%. Housing starts rose by 22.6% in the month of July, which makes it the third consecutive month of gains. The number came to a seasonally adjusted 1,496,000 starts, coming in far ahead of the estimated rise of 1,240,000. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said that talks remain stalled between the two political parties regarding another round of fiscal stimulus. Mnuchin did suggest that House Speaker Pelosi looks willing to continue talks this week after the chamber meets again regarding legislation surrounding the United States Postal Service. Democrats have said that they are willing to move to $2 trillion on the next coronavirus bill, down from the $3.5 trillion of a bill the House passed in May. The administration has set its goal for the size of the next bill at $1 trillion, but has indicated willingness to go higher. Mnuchin was asked why a deal seems so far off. He said the following, quote, "I really don't know. We started with $1 trillion. We agreed to increase that in several areas in an effort to compromise. They didn't come down. They never made us a proposal at $2 trillion. They never gave us a line-by-line counter," end quote. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy said that he will be suspending certain changes at the Postal Service until after the 2020 presidential election as a means to, quote, "avoid even the appearance of any impact on election mail," end quote. However, he did not specify which changes he was referring to. Although, he did say that retail hours at the post offices will not be changed. Mail processing facilities will not be closed. Mail processing equipment will not be moved. And overtime will be continued to be approved. DeJoy has been under fire as of late, due to him being a so-called major donor to the Republican Party and committees supporting the re-election of President Trump. This may not usually raise any questions, but Trump has been claiming, without evidence, that the anticipated increase of mail-in ballots will lead to a large amount of voter fraud. DeJoy is scheduled to testify before the majority GOP Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee on Friday, and the Democrat-led House Oversight Committee on Monday. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that she is calling the House back in session in order to vote on a bill that would block DeJoy's reported operational changes, quote, "until the COVID-19 pandemic has ended," end quote. Multiple states have been approved by the federal government to deploy an additional $300 a week in unemployment benefits, but it could still be a few weeks before this money gets into the hands of citizens. Arizona, Iowa, Louisiana, New Mexico, Colorado, Missouri, and Utah were the first states to be approved. States can choose whether to participate and must apply to the Federal Emergency Management Agency by September 10th if they want the money. Under Trump's order, states can also use their own funds to provide another $100 a week for a total supplement payment of $400, though it's unclear whether any states will do so, since many face cash crunches. Regardless, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said, quote, "I would expect that most of the states qualify, so I hope we see the majority of states participate." No one performed better than the Chinese e-commerce company JD.com, which had shares rise by nearly 5%. This move comes after their great top and bottom lines beat yesterday, where they saw revenue grow around 30%. On top of this, today they were added to Goldman's conviction list, as they raised their price target to $85 per share, after previously being set at $73 per share. Shares of fellow e-commerce company Amazon rose 4.09%. This move comes after Amazon has paired with the largest auto manufacturer in terms of revenue, Toyota Motors. This collaboration will allow Amazon's AWS segment to improve Toyota's data analyzing software. On top of this, Amazon announced that they will be adding 3,500 jobs across 6 cities as the company continues to be relentless in its growth. The biggest loser in the S&P 500 was Kohl's, which had shares fall 14.67%. This was due to their earnings, which we'll get into in our earnings segment of the show. The other loser happened to be PVH Corp, which is a clothing company that owns brands such as Van Heusen, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, and Izod, to name a few. Shares fell 5.78% after poor guidance from some retailers. Getting into earnings, we'll start off with Walmart, ticker symbol WMT, which is the massive supermarket chain that we all know and have shopped at many times before. Walmart had great top and bottom line numbers. Non-GAAP EPS came in at a gain of $1.56 per share, which beat estimates by a nice 31 cents. Revenue grew a good 5.7% as revenue totaled an astounding $137.7 billion, which beat estimates by a comfortable $3.93 billion. Notably, comparable sales grew better than estimates, and U.S. e-commerce sales were up an enormous 97% on a yearly basis. Investors were not immensely positive after Walmart pointed to normalizing in sales numbers as additional stimulus funds stopped. Shares slipped slightly after the overwhelmingly positive earnings. Next up, we have Home Depot, ticker symbol HD, which is a retailer that places a focus on consumers' home improvement needs. The company beat GAAP EPS by 34 cents, as they had a gain of $4.02 per share for the quarter. Revenue grew a fantastic 23.4% on a yearly basis, as consumers focused on improving their homes during the pandemic. Revenue totaled $38.05 billion for the quarter, which was better than estimates by $3.41 billion. During their earnings call, the company executives cautioned about the continuation of current trends. Shares ended the day down by more than a whole percent. Next up, we have Kohl's, ticker symbol KSS, which is a popular department store retail chain. Kohl's remarkably beat on both top and bottom line estimates. They beat non-GAAP EPS estimates by a large 63 cents, as they had a loss of 25 cents per share. Revenue expectedly fell a poor 23% on a yearly basis, as they recorded quarterly revenue of $3.41 billion, which did top estimates by $340 million. The company also announced that their dividend would be suspended. During their earnings call, the company warned that the resurgence of COVID-19 in certain parts of the United States during July impacted sales negatively. Shares cratered a humongous 14.67% after investors were spooked due to poor words regarding July's retail sales. Next up, we have Advance Auto Parts, ticker symbol AAP, which is an aftermarket automotive parts retailer. They also had fantastic earnings, as they had a double beat. Non-GAAP EPS was a positive $2.92 per share, which was better than estimates by a large 95 cents. Revenue managed good growth of 7.3% on a yearly basis, as the retailer had quarterly revenue of $2.5 billion, which topped estimates by $130 million. To add more good news, comparable sales growth blew by estimates. Shares advanced by more than 1%. Last but not least, we have Agilent Technologies, ticker symbol A, which is a company that focuses on making analytical instruments, software, and services. The company beat on both the top and bottom lines, but not by large margins. Non-GAAP EPS beat by 10 cents, as they had a gain of 78 cents per share. The top line tallied $1.26 billion, as revenue fell a slight 0.8% on a yearly basis, and beat estimates by a slim $50 million. Shares are trading in the red after this evening's earnings. That is all that I have for tonight. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow.